Can't say anything about it.
Yeah. I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Lower Macungie Township Board of Commissioners to order. If we could all please stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. For purposes of the roll call, everyone who is supposed to be in attendance is here. Our township engineer, Mr. McAdam, is joining us through Zoom.
Good evening.
There are no agenda modifications this evening. Item 5, announcements and presentations. An executive session was held on November 25th to discuss personnel and potential land acquisition. We are going to skip over 5.2 for the moment. Go to 5.3, Pennsylvania State Police update. Lieutenant Chris Natius, Station Commander, Fogelsville. Want to just come up, sir? We just ask you to speak into the microphone, because any of the three that you want.
Okay. My name's Chris Natius. I'm the lieutenant at the Fogelsville station. I've been there for about 1.5 years now. I've tried to get to some of the meetings here, but never was actually on the agenda. I'd say in the last 1.5 years, kind of really gotten to learn the township. I'm sure, as of most of you are aware, Lower Mac is the second largest township in the state covered by Pennsylvania State Police. So it's challenging for us, especially with manpower, law enforcement across not just us, the whole country. But we're doing the best to mitigate those personnel issues. And all in all, I just wanted to make myself available for any questions and updates as far as any crimes. I just say we have a whole lot of thefts in this township. That seems to be several shifts, if not every shift. We're doing the best we can to mitigate that. But other than that, I just wanted to make myself available. Anybody have any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Lieutenant Natius?
Just a quick one. Thefts regarding residential, commercial?
I would say more, well, you name it. I would say burglaries been tending to be more commercial rather than residential. The residential, I would say about 6 months ago, there was an uptick, but there were several individuals that were doing it that we were actually able to catch. And that was kind of through the roof as far as residential. Commercial have been a little bit tougher. But I would say right now it's kind of 50-50. Thefts, I would say more commercial, especially along the different shops and stuff like near the Home Depot, all along like Mill Creek and all that. All along. So basically, yeah, it's every shift. We're either going after a retail theft, or a lot of times we don't get called unless certain monetary value, and that's been more the courtesy of the victims or the stores that specifically call us. But yeah, I would say on average there's at least 4 or 5 reported thefts, but they're mostly commercial. Burglaries we're usually able to stop on right on top of. Again, not that we put more effort towards residential, but if they're residential, they get a little bit more attention, especially since there's usually certain suspects that are doing it. But that's not the case right now.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Any further questions?
Just one comment. I get a lot of questions about our police coverage, and the great majority of the people I talk to feel the state police are doing a great job. Lower Macungie has a great police force, Pennsylvania State Police, and I thank you for serving us.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, and I thank you, and I'll certainly relay that to the troopers. We try to, I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar basically with Pennsylvania State Police's procedures, but we try to usually have one trooper in each zone, but we usually put several in Lower Macungie just because of the size. If possible, and basically that's where most of the troopers stay central. So we do the best we can. We don't make excuses, and personnel or not, we do get the job done, and I greatly appreciate that.
You do get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And we do appreciate your service,
Thank you
you
very
and all the troopers. Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Okay, we're going to bounce back to 5.2, donation presentation from Lutron to Emergency Services, presented by Juan Brenes and Jeremy Nayert. Nayert? Nowert? Is that Nowert? Come on up. I'll ask the fire department and the ambulance corps to come up as well. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, some of you may have, over the years, seen Andy Hines, who's my colleague. He's the Director of Health, Safety, and Environment with Lutron. I'm also Director of Health, Safety, and Environment.
Yeah, just a little
bit
closer.
to the
Yeah.
microphone, sure. The significant difference is that Andy's been with the company, I think, at least 26 years, and I joined about 2 years ago. But Andy did have a commitment. He wasn't able to work around this evening and asked me to do something that he considers a real privilege, and I agree with him, to support the EMS and fire services that we know we benefit from. Is something that we consider a privilege to be able to be part of that support that we know is always needed. So we've seen you quite often helping us teach our employees to do CPR and things, and we just, again, we know that the way that we rely on these services is critical for what we intend to do in terms of protecting our employees and our customers and our visitors and our facilities here in Lower Macungie. So these are just kind of a way to continue to express and in a more material way give that support and enjoy that ongoing relationship with all of you. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Juan, I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
The only thing is you mentioned it all right, but it's a pleasure to be able to collaborate, and we have a great relationship that we truly appreciate. Thank you for everything you do for us, and we'll continue to take care of our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
I'll tell you what, do one of these. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 5.4, proclamation presentation to Christopher Sacchi. So we get to do this every once in a while for our long-term volunteers and staff as they move on to greater things. But this evening, Chris, we have a proclamation here on behalf of the citizens of Lower Macungie Township. The Lower Macungie Township Board of Commissioners would like to express appreciation to Christopher Sacchi for serving actively on the Lower Macungie Township Environmental Advisory Council from January 2010 to December 2024. Mr. Sacchi was a valuable asset to the EAC with plentiful knowledge of our natural resources and was involved in several projects to protect and rehab them. He served as Secretary of the EAC from 2015 to 2020 and as Chairman from 2021 to 2024 and will be missed greatly. The Board of Commissioners do hereby applaud Chris for his 15 years of service and commitment to Lower Macungie Township and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Thank you very much, Chris. You want to just come on up? We'll take a couple pictures. Sure. Renee loves to do that. Our Assistant Township Manager, Secretary, Photographer, there's a couple other titles. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you again, Chris, for everything. You were much better than the last term. Chris, you were much better than the last chairman, so thank you very much for everything you've done. I'm just kidding, Scott. Oh, okay. See? So it wasn't you, Scott. So. Okay, moving on to item 6, hearings and approvals. 6.1, resolution 2024-51, supporting ordinance 2020-02 to exempt certain lands from Liquor Control Board noise regulations. Solicitor?
Sure.
Mr. Brumman.
If you remember, we adopted a resolution supporting ordinance 2020-02 as a prerequisite to applying to the liquor board for a noise exemption. So this is the first step. The next step will be to apply, and there'll be a hearing, and hopefully we'll have a happy ending. Yep,
Move to
that's what
approve.
this is.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 6.2, consideration of sewage facilities planning module for the Sauerkraut Lane extension. Who do you want? Is this Brian?
I'll take it,
Or-
I guess. It's, as discussed at the workshop, this is the planning module for the actual Sauerkraut Lane extension from 100 behind several residences there as part of the ongoing construction project. This will allow us to extend and make available with that line, just so there's no difficulties while they're later on for construction. We thought it would be a good idea to make that happen now. This is part of that planning process.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Is there any public comment on non-agenda topics? Seeing none, we'll move on to communication. 8.1, Susan Nensteel, Audit Advisory Committee Letter of Resignation. Can I have a motion to accept Susan's resignation?
Move to accept with regrets.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The rest of the communication, Mr. Vital?
Thank you. John Reinbold, Statement of Interest for the Public Safety Advisory Committee. Gregory Brown, Statement of Interest for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Jessica Rosenbrook, Statement of Interest for the Planning Commission.
Okay. Item 9, there are no appointments to various boards, committees, or commissions this evening. Item 10, approval of meeting minutes from November 21st, 2024 will be considered at the December 19th meeting. Approval of transfers, bill list, and payroll. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. We have the following for your consideration this evening. The General Fund, $319,280.68. The Solid Waste Fund, $399,533.43. The Sewer Fund, $165,844.30. The Capital Projects Fund, $9,471. The Open Space Maintenance Fund, $113,824.80. The Liquid Fuels Fund, $18,498.17. The payroll, $159,734.67. The developer escrow, $77,983.26. For a total of all funds, $1,264,170.31.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the bill list. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? And as always, our full bill list can be seen and viewed by the public on our website. Departmental matters, engineering, Mr. McAdam.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay, any questions for the engineer?
I got a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Beitler.
When we talked about the quarry lighting, Beans, I was the one that said, we should focus on getting the driveway lit up first and the parking lots. I went back there and studied it a little, and I called a PPL representative. What I was told is, there's a transformer can by that first clubhouse building or restrooms.
Mhm.
They will install lights along that driveway, spaced at 150 foot apart, the same fashion as Sauerkraut Lane. They will put them around the parking lot and possibly do the lane back to the second lot and do the second lot for no cost.
Excellent.
And the individual did mention that Renee would know how to go about to contact them to get this moving. And then the second time I talked to him today, he said the road back to Kratzer Farm, there's 3 poles there. They would install, if the third one can be used, I walked that out also. And due to the fact there's a can on the middle one, they could put 3 overhead lights in there for no cost, and we would just pay for but we pay for every other PPL light in the township.
Excellent.
But doing that with quarry, because of myself making a statement, let's not light the field up till
Sure.
we get it done. Maybe we can go ahead this year, do some planning, so next year comes around, we're ready to go with that lighting.
That sounds great. Bruce, you can follow up on that and with Commissioner Beitler. Commissioner Beitler, thank you for the hard work on that. And we can fix that into the whole overall quarry plan now that we've been out there and looked at a lot of the things that need to be
And-
updated.
One more comment. It would be the similar lighting as our parking lot when we walked in here. We have them post lights out here. We don't have no giant lights for the parking lot. So when you think of how would Sauerkraut Lane lights light up a parking lot, when you walk out here, you'll see it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ron. Any other questions for the engineer? Okay. Moving forward, 12.2 planning. Vince.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Real quickly, it looks like we're going to have 2 items on the agenda next week, Tuesday, for the Planning Commission. 1208 Brookside Road, which is Bethany United Methodist. They're coming with their lot line adjustment. They have put the other land development proposal to expand the parking lot on hold for right now. They're just going to go through with the lot line adjustment that they need for the stormwater area to add to their property. The other item is 617 North Crocs mixed use, and that is just a resubmission for review by the Planning Commission. That's all we have on the agenda. Thank you.
Any questions for Vince? Okay, 12.3 solicitor. Solicitor Bruman.
I'm sure everybody remembers, about 10 months ago, we put a lot of properties on the official map. We've been behind the scenes negotiating with all of those homeowners, some with success, some without success so far. These 2 need to go to condemnation because of the timing. This is the Dan Weber property on 6300 Lower Macungie Road. This is far along in regard to a agreement on the price and other terms, but it's not going to get finished by the end of December. So we're filing it for protective reasons, and candidly, it has to be filed anyway because they don't want to pay taxes, and I don't blame them. So the condemnation filing prevents tax, transfer tax.
Move to approve.
Wait, okay.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second on resolution 2024-52. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Solicitor Berman.
Second one is very similar to the first one. It arises from the official map and a desire to preserve open space. It is commonly known as the Muse property. We have an appraisal. They are getting an appraisal. They do not have it yet. It's moving slower than we would like. So we're protecting ourselves and filing the condemnation.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second on Resolution 2024-53. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Solicitor?
The only other thing is, if you remember, we tabled the conditional use last time. Because we tabled, we'll have to have, quote, technically another hearing with the court reporter. I'll be circulating an opinion with conditions, and if anybody has any issues, they can get back to me. But you should get that over the weekend, and the goal is to adopt it on the 19th.
Okay. Any questions for the solicitor? Township Manager, Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. I just have two items. The first, as a way to recognize and acknowledge employees for their tenure and their efforts with the township. One of the things we've looked to do, Ms. Flexer and I, is to update the board and the public and kind of recognize those individuals that have hit certain thresholds with the township. So for us, we just want to acknowledge we have several 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year individuals that have reached their service level with the township. Ms. Flexer is also going to post their names on the billboard in front of the township on the video board. So we thought it's a good idea to recognize them for that time. So we have a 5-year Angela Boyko, 10 years Mike Leibel, Maureen Lang, and Diane Geist, 15-year Matt Masonheimer, Ron Swigert, Jeff Waltmeyer, and Ms. Flexer. So want to thank those employees as always, and wanted to recognize them in public for their service and acknowledge that in front of the board. So that's my first item. The second item we have, just a reminder to everyone, all our residents and visitors, tomorrow night our annual Christmas tree lighting event starting at 6 until 8 p.m. At the Recreation Center on this main campus. We invite everybody. You're all welcome. We'll see the Emmaus High School Choir, the Lower Macungie Middle School Band, live reindeer, kids snow zone, food trucks, photo ops with characters, and the fire department having Santa arrive at 7 p.m. with the Christmas tree lighting. So we welcome everybody, and we hope to see you there. That's all I have unless there's questions for me.
Okay, any questions for the Township Manager? Just for fun, because I like to do this every once in a while, we also have Mr. Cisco with us, our Director of Public Works. Doug, do you have anything to report?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report this time, but let's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Cisco? I just have one. How are you finding your way now that you've been here almost a whole month?
I don't need GPS. I don't need GPS anymore.
That's good. That's good.
Everything's going great.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
I got one.
Yes, Commissioner Feiler.
Yeah, I wanted to, how's the Kratzer Barn repairs going?
They should hopefully finish up at the end of this week or next week.
All right, thank you.
Okay, item 13, other business. Is there any old business to discuss? This list keeps getting longer and longer, so we're going to have to get rid of some of these at some point.
You will see a lengthy December 19th meeting.
Okay.
I got one more comment.
Yes, Commissioner.
Back to the lights.
Yes.
I left two things out. Of course, it has to go up the ladder at PPL,
Mhm.
but they would require a 10-year commitment that we would keep those lights heated up and pay the bill for 10 years.
Okay.
Which is, I think that's the norm, Renee, correct?
That would be a problem. Excellent. By the way, Bruce, just so you know, if it gets it off the old business quicker, Fork Lane is happening. It's not, you're not changing the name. It's not going to it will happen. So you might as well just get it off the list.
All right.
Okay. As much as you're trying to stall.
We will prepare it.
And I'm going to find an applesauce lane too. So we're going to have pork sauerkraut and applesauce at some point.
Is Port the one that goes back to
The compost.
the compost center?
It'll be nobody's address, so it's okay. You'll have to deal with, the Pennsylvania Dutch for a little bit. All right?
It'll be the address for the compost center.
Well, then that's even
That'll
better.
be its official address.
I love it. Is there any new business this evening? Okay, with that, Board of Commissioner reports. The next regular board meeting is December 19th at 6 PM. There is no workshop in December. Any needed topics will be discussed at the December 19th board meeting. The next board workshop is January 27th at 6 PM. There is no executive session this evening, and with that, we are adjourned. Well done, everybody. Well done.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Brian.
Brian.